Greninja EX has always had the tools to be a powerhouse in the Pokemon TCG, but just felt like it was a little bit held back. Until now. With the upcoming rotation in March, one of its biggest roadblocks is going to be disappearing, and in Japan, where they're already playing in a post-rotation format, Greninja is making waves in the meta. This fan-favorite Pokemon can slice through the active with its Shinobi Blade while setting up your next turn, or unleash its Mirage Barrage to pick apart your opponent's board. And with no Manaphy to stop it, the floodgates are open. Today we'll be breaking down 3 tournament-tested Greninja decks that are already shaping the new meta in Japan, so stick around so you can be ahead of the game when rotation hits us later this year. Now just in case you are a new member to Greninja's dojo, let's break down why this Ninja Frog is about to take over. The first attack, Shinobi Blade, costs you just 1 water energy and hits the active for 170 damage, while also grabbing you any card from your deck, making it perfect to set up key plays or grabbing a crucial supporter card to keep your game plan rolling on the following turn. It's a powerful move that sets up easy 2-hit KOs while keeping your hand strong. But don't sleep on its second attack, Mirage Barrage. This sneak attack can dish out 120 damage to 2 targets, making it great to finish off the active after a Shinobi Blade and then taking out or softening up a key Pokemon on your opponent's bench. And if you can pull this off while your opponent is still setting up their board, you can easily snipe their pre-evolution Pokemon before they even have a chance to evolve, destroying their game state and then snowballing the game in your favor. Now before you ask, why haven't you seen this winning tournaments already if it's so good? Well, Manaphy made it a little bit too easy for opponents to protect their bench. It can be easy to read when Mirage Barrage is coming, so they just use Nest Ball the turn before you do it and make you jump through some hoops to get the play off. But with rotation hitting in March and nothing protecting Manaphy from it, well, it's going to be out of the picture. Sure, Rabsca can provide some bench protection, but as a stage 1 Pokemon, it's a lot harder to get into play quickly, and most decks just don't have the room to include it in their 60. There is one thing to watch out for though, as Terra Pokemon like Charizard and Dragapult EX have inbuilt bench protection, so make sure you don't waste your Mirage Barrage trying to hit them when they're on the bench. Instead, just focus them down while they're in the active, or even better, take them out before they even have a chance to evolve up. With these 2 flexible attacks, Greninja EX isn't just a strong attacker, it's proving to be a true ninja, striking fast while adapting to any situation. But now let's dive into these 3 builds that are already impacting the scene over in Japan. Now for the first build of Greninja EX we're going to talk about, it's going to be using the Baxcalibur kit. So of course we've got a 2-1-2 Greninja line in here, but then Baxcalibur's in here to use Super Cold. As often as you like during your turn, you can attach a basic water energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. It's a great way to charge up Mirage Barrage, well, very fast, right? Even if you haven't manually attached the turn before, if you have Baxcalibur out, you can just rush 3 energy onto Greninja, use Mirage Barrage. You do have to discard the energy. Both cards like Superior Energy Retrieval to get them back, we can easily just be looping this attack. Baxcalibur wouldn't really exist though if it wasn't for Chin Pao. These two kind of just, they're basically the Bert and Ernie of the Pokemon TCG. Shivery Chill lets you get 2 water energy from your deck as long as Chin Pao is in the active. You can only do this once per turn, but you could just bounce from one Chin Pao into another if you really want to get 4 energy in one go. It's a great way to have Baxcalibur rush energy onto the board, and it's also a solid attacker in its own right. Hailblade does a multiplier of 60. You're going to choose any amount of water energy attached to your Pokemon, then discard them and do 60 damage for each energy you discarded in that way. So to get into those stage 2 EXs that have a little bit too much HP for Greninja to deal with, it can do the 1-2 combo and get around them, but if you want to just delete them in one go into Chin Pao, rush a bunch of energy on the board, hit delete, go from there. When they're trying to re-establish pre-evolution Pokemon, you're just going to use Superior Energy Retrieval, get those energy onto Greninja, go back into it, and then take out their Charmanders or their Dreepies that they're trying to reset up their board with. So it's a really strong combo. You also have Iron Bundle in here, providing a little bit of gust with Hyper Blower. While it's on your bench, you can put it in the discard pile, making your opponent switch out their active to the bench. Means that your Greninja can then just snipe 2 things off the bench while they're promoting something that they don't really want in the active. Can be a little bit disruptive, but it also has a solid attack we can be charging up with Baxcalibur in Refrigerated Stream. Only does 80 damage, it's nothing crazy, but if the defending Pokemon is an evolution, it can't attack during your opponent's next turn. It means they have to switch out of it or try and evolve through. So if they have to hard retreat, they're losing energy, they're losing resources, it can be very difficult for them. If you see that your opponents burn through all their switch cards and they're low on energy, and they're an evolution deck, Iron Bundle can be a great way just to close out a match and be like, I'm just going to keep hitting you and you can literally do nothing into me. So yeah, great inclusion to have. For some draw support, Revroom showing up, Rumbling Engine lets you discard a energy from your hand, then draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. Baxcalibur and Chien-Pao were typically played with Bibarel, which is going to be rotating in March as well, so Revroom just seems like a natural replacement for it. Gets 6 cards, so extra card, always a bonus. You do have to discard an energy, but with ways to recur them, like Superior Energy Retrieval, it's not really an issue, and getting the energy in your hand to use Rumbling Engine, Chien-Pao can help you out with that too, so yeah, seems like a solid inclusion. You've also got Pidgeot EX in here as a 1/1 line. There isn't any stage 1s in here, so if you want to use it, you do have to commit a rare candy to it. Keep that in mind. Has free retreat, so it's a great Pokemon to go into after something gets knocked out, just to reset your game state, and also has quick search, which lets you just grab any card from your deck once per turn. So it's sort of like Shinobi Blade, but as an ability. Yeah, adds amazing consistency, and any deck that can fit Pidgeot in, I feel like they are. It's just a great card. We've also got Pheasantipity in here as another little bird supporter. Flip the Script lets you draw 3 cards as long as one of your Pokemon was knocked out by your opponent on their last turn. So a little bit more draw power for you. Has Cruel Arrow, which can also be used. Baxcalibur can rush out water energy to it. You can do 100 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Unlike Greninja, it doesn't have to discard the energy after, so it can be a great way to snipe something off the bench, and being a basic Pokemon, it's very quick to get set up. It's typically in here just for the draw support that it provides, but knowing that there is a relevant attack on there can be very helpful in certain situations. For the ace spec in this list, we are running it with Unfair Stamp, so if your opponent took a prize, it's basically the supporter card Roxanne, but as an item. So then we can still be using a supporter card after that if you want. Gives you some solid draw support while disrupting your opponent. For supporters, 4 Arvins, 2 Ionos, 2 Boss's Orders, pretty standard Pokemon search cards with Poffin, Nest Ball, and Ultra Ball, and I feel like the rest of the list kind of explains itself. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments down below and I'll get to them as soon as I can. For the second list though, we're going to be playing around with ghosts and stuff. We've got a Dusknoir line, so Cursed Blast, you can choose to knock out this Pokemon. Does mean you're giving up a prize to the opponent, but you're putting 13 damage counters on one of their Pokemon, which can be great to set up knockouts for Greninja to go Mirage Blast and finish them off, right? These two together, 120 off Greninja, 130 off that, that's 250. You could be taking out a Raging Bolt with these two as a combo. Not bad, you're giving up 1 prize, but you're getting 2. Yeah, seems like a fair trade-off. You do also have Dusclops, knock it out, do 5 damage counters, so a slightly weaker version of Dusknoir, but if you don't need the full 13 damage counters, can be nice just to get this out and fix up some numbers, and yeah, mess with your opponent a little bit, hopefully putting them in a game state they can't recover from before you can win the match. For some more damage counters in this deck though, there is also Frostlass. Freezing Shroud is going to put a damage counter on every Pokemon in play that has an ability. This does include yours as well, but is a great way to kind of fix up some numbers and put extra pressure on your opponent. With the amount of abilities we will have in play though, Pidgeot has abilities, the Dusknoir line does, Pheasantipity does. Of course we're going to be running this with Monkey Dory, it kind of just goes hand in hand with Frostlass. Chuck a Dark Energy on here, Adrena Brain lets you move 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon over onto one of your opponent's Pokemon, so it's like, I don't want these damage counters, you have it, fixes up numbers, and it's really helpful. The fact that it moves 3 damage counters also, you can be taking some cheeky knockouts in baby Pokemon, right? Budew, 30 HP, damage your own Monkey Dory, get a free KO off it. That's nice. We do have a baby Pokemon in here as well though, being Cleffa, has Grasping Draw, so a great way just to go, hey, I don't really have anything that can attack the first turn of the game, I'll just go into Cleffa, it can give me a 7-card hand, and we're good. This could easily be replaced with Budew if you'd prefer to disrupt your opponent instead of helping set yourself up, since we do have a lot of ways to get ourselves set up, having a 2-1-2 Pidgeot line, but seeing extra cards is always beneficial, so it's kind of choose your own flavor with that. I think Cleffa makes the most sense, but if you prefer just to slow down your opponent, it's an easy one to just swap out. Pheasantipity showing up in here as well. The supporter line effectively the same. The ace spec basically the same. We are seeing a Briar included in this list, so you can only use this if your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining, but if you take a KO with your Terra Pokemon, you get 1 more prize card. So it's a great way to kind of catch up if your opponent does get ahead in the prize race. Having the Dusclops line too, if our opponent's ever on like 3 prizes, we can just knock out one of these, put them down to 2, and then take out a KO, potentially getting 3 prizes to close out the match. So having prize manipulation is very useful. Also, something I did skim over earlier when we mentioned the Dark Energy, we are including Crispin. Since we've got Dark Energy, we've got Water Energy, Crispin can go, hey, search your deck for 2 energy of different types. Attach them to one of your Pokemon, put the other one in your hand. So we can attach it to Greninja, manually attach the other one, and as long as we got an attachment on the previous turn, we can be using Mirage Barrage as early as turn 2, which is pretty solid. The other way to accelerate a bit of energy, Well, in a sense, we've got counter gain, so Dusclops, we can knock it out, we go behind on prizes, we can attach counter gain to Greninja, it pays for one of the colorless energy for Greninja's attack. Then we go Crispin, and it's online, or just having attached the previous turn, attach another one. We're not getting Greninja online till turn 2 anyways. You can easily get Mirage Barrage off by as early as turn 2 that way. And to be able to repeatedly use Mirage Barrage, there's another tool you could lean into, being Power Glass. So at the end of your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you get a basic energy card from your discard pile and just attach it to it. You're discarding 2 energy with Greninja. There's going to be energy in the discard pile. It's basically like you're just discarding 1 energy with Greninja. Then on the following turn, you just manually attach an energy. You can use Mirage Barrage again, get another energy back from the discard pile, and just continue that process. So into single prize matchups where you want to just be repeatedly using Mirage Barrage, it's great. And into decks where you want to just be putting a lot of pressure on their pre-evolution Pokemon, it's also a solid option to go into. Now for the third and final build we're going to talk about, this one's a little bit different, but like, I'm kind of keen on it. It's using Zoroark EX, specifically N's Zoroark EX. Has the ability trade. You have to discard a card to use this, but you draw 2 cards. So basically, Corellia or Liepard, just staying in standard rotation. They're going to be rotating. This replaces it. Or if you were around when Zoroark GX was a thing, it literally the same ability it had last time it was a 2-prize Pokemon. So that's pretty cool. The attack on here, Night Joker, is going to cost 2 dark energy, but you get to choose one of your benched N's Pokemon and use it as this attack. Which at first might sound a little bit weird. How are we getting that energy on it? Well, for this build, we are going to be using Blaziken as a way to accelerate energy out. Once per turn, you can just attach a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. So we've got Dark Energy, we can easily attach one from the discard pile to Zoroark, manually attach another, and get going. There is a 2-1-2 Blaziken line, so theoretically we could have 2 Blazikens out and charge Zoroark up that way in one go. Could be charging up Mirage Barrage with it as well, so it's a great option to have. Now for the attacks Zoroark can be using, we're going to be running it with Reshiram. Powerful Rage lets you do 20 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. So Zoroark's got 280 HP and effectively take 270 damage before it's knocked out. You can get up to 540. So it's a great delete button we can be using. Similar to in the Chin Pow list, it's just, hey, Greninja can't do any like massive hits. We need something that can. Cool, Zoroark's got him covered. We also have a way to snipe 2 things with a Darmanitan. So it's got Hydruruma Cannon, does 90 damage to the active, discards all the energy from this Pokemon, and then it does 90 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So it's sort of like a reprint of Radiant Greninja, but yeah, you're always hitting the active. It's not bad. Fire Energy is included in this list as well, so you could just attack with Darmanitan on its own, having a single prize Pokemon that can technically take 2 knockouts. It's a good option to have and can skew the prize trade. The other attack on here isn't one to gloss over either. Backdraft does a multiplier of 30 for each energy in your opponent's discard pile, specifically basic energy. So this is really useful into mainly Ceruledge EX, which is actually seeing quite a bit of play and is kind of ranked at like a tier deck currently, or tier 1 basically. So yeah, seeing a lot of play, and it'll definitely see more play when it comes out in March, or when rotation hits us in March. It'll continue seeing play. It's currently seeing a lot, so having an answer that's just, you've got a lot of things in the bin, I can delete you. I only give up 1 prize though, and you can easily attack with this. Like, you could charge it up with Attach Return and Blaziken. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Briar showing up in this deck again. We do have Cyrano, which we haven't seen in previous lists. Lets you search your deck for 3 Pokemon EX and just pop them into your hand. So it's a great way to get your Zoroarks, get your Greninjas, get your Fezandipiti or your Blazikens. Good card. Pokemon Search is always a great addition. Professor Turo's Scenario showing up as well, since Zoroark is likely going to be tanking some hits so that it can use Reshiram's attack. If we ever get to a situation where it's like, I can't afford this to get knocked out, we have Turo as a way to just bounce it out. If your opponent tries to lock something in the active to buy themselves some time, Turo's just a great way to get it out. Since we don't really have any switch cards in this list, we're focusing on having Rescue Board to reduce our retreat cost, and we've also got N's Castle that makes our N's Pokemon in play have no retreat cost. But if they try and lock like a Fezandipiti or the Blaziken in the active, yeah, we might have to just use Turo to scoop them out. Also means Greninja and the Blaziken could potentially be hit at some point, like if your opponent's trying to set up numbers, maybe we're into a mirror match with a Greninja, or maybe we're playing into Dragapult EX. It's a great way just to take something damaged off the board and avoid them getting multiple prizes in one go. The other cards in here that are worth kind of mentioning, Precious Trolley shows up as the ace spec for this one. I'm mixed on it. Basically, this list doesn't run Nest Ball. It's leaning into Buddy Poffin and Ultra Ball as your Pokemon search. You've got Cyrano as a way to get your EXs, and to get your basics, you've also got Trolley. If you prize this, you're going to be in a bad way, but if you can pull it off by like turn 1, turn 2, just fills your entire bench with basic Pokemon. So you get your Frokries, your Zoras, your Reshurams, your Darumacas, your Torchics. That's pretty solid. I prefer to lean into higher counts of support cards or search cards. So mixed feelings on this, but this is a list that did see success in Japan, so there's obviously some logic to it, but personally I'd probably cut this and lean into something like Prime Catcher or Unfair Stamp, and then they're running it with Drayton. I'd probably replace those with Nest Balls as well, but it's definitely worth testing. Drayton looks at the top 7 cards of your deck, you reveal a Pokemon and a trainer card you find there, and you put them into your hand. So it's similar to Great Ball, right? There's times where this will just whiff. There's times where you'll look at the top 7 and it's 7 energy. Or it's energy and tools, and you can't really get those. Oh no, and a trainer. I don't know, in my head I had read it as item. So yeah, if you see your tools, you can get them. But yeah, there'll be times where you're just seeing energy and it's not really doing anything for you. Interesting card. Obviously, it's not having to discard anything when you're using it. It's helping you thin your deck, but the fact that it's not directly targeting things, like you might not find the target you're after, or it may just whiff. I'm mixed on it. Like, I feel like you just lean into higher counts of Arven and Iono and find some space for some Nest Balls. Overall though, the Zoroark concept with this, I do like it. Like the fact that Zoroark can get energy in the discard pile while drawing his cards, and then Blaziken can get energy from the discard pile back into play. Greninja's discarding energy, Darmanitan's discarding energy, and then we just recycle it back onto the board. I do really like that and think it's a very interesting use of the Blaziken and also of the Zoroark. So 100% I will be testing out this list, but what about you? What are your thoughts on this deck? Does it have maybe too many pieces that it's trying to make work? Of the 3 decks, which one would you try out is kind of what I'm trying to get out here. The Baxcalibur Chin-Pao concept, I feel like it's been tested, right? Chin-Pao and Baxcalibur, always good, including Greninja just as another way to... It gets you some extra consistency, it targets down 2 things, seems solid. We're losing Radiant Greninja, so it's just, hey, replace the Greninja that hit 2 things with a different Greninja that hits 2 things. Yeah, I like that. The Ghost build, also, just spreading around damage, finishing them off with Greninja, solid logic there. And then the Zoroark one, I want it to be good. It seems like it's got a lot going on, and it will just be managing those resources, getting the sequencing down properly, but definitely has potential, and I feel like it's just balancing the trainer cards with it. We've still got a lot of time until rotation hits us, so plenty of time to test these out. If you do want to try these cards out before they actually release, which is just the Zoroark ones, all the other Greninja cards you might already have in your collection, so you can give a go, but I'll show you how to proxy these if you did want to try this deck out. So just go to Limitless. I'll have links to all 3 of these decks in the description of this video. You're going to go to Tools, scroll down here, you're going to hit Proxy Printer. Takes a second to load, and then it'll have all the cards for the deck ready to print out here for you. You hit print, you print them out, you cut the cards out, you're ready to go. Just sleeve them up over top of like an energy card or a bulk card that you don't use, and then you can have those as proxy cards to test out. These aren't tournament legal, so once the set officially releases, make sure you replace them with real ones, and if you're wanting to test out Greninja without committing to buying it, you're welcome to proxy that as well. Just make sure if you do bring it to a league, just go and actually pick up real versions of the cards. Also, something worth note, on here you'll see this little ink saver mode button. If you click that, turns it to black and white. So if you don't have a color printer or you're just trying to conserve some ink since stuff's a little bit pricey, that option is there for you as well. Hope you found this video helpful though. If you did, hitting that like button is always appreciated. It helps out the channel more than you might realize. And if you made it this far and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what are you doing? Boop it, then we can hang out some more. Till next time though, stay golden, you Goombas.